gonna get started soon, apparently. Can everybody hear me okay? Is the volume okay? Yeah? So welcome to the pop-up weekend. It's going to be 3 sessions today and tomorrow 3 sessions. Um, there's just this overflowing of sharing. Um, and the first topic that I wanted to do is a suggestion. This question always gets asked, always in one-on-ones, and I get a lot of emails about this. Um, let's go a little bit deeper into this one. It's the suggestion here is that um, there's only one perception, so there are no others. And it's a tough one because it seems like that there's this when there is a character that believes it is here, it also believes in other characters. There's this unexamined assumption that of what is real and denial of what is unreal. Since this is the unchangeable, since this is the unknowable presence, all that there is this, and there's no separation, the assumption that there are others is a lot of pitfalls for a lot of seeking. It's a reinforcement that I am here. It's a reinforcement that I am separate. It's a reinforcement of the I. Because if there's I, there must be others. So this particular thoughts about separation gets multiplied by the assumption that there are others, especially that there are others that are higher than me. And let's go a little bit to the jugular of it. So the belief in enlightened others, in teachers, in speakers, reinforces the belief that I am separate. So the story of me seems really real, and then the interaction with others seems really real as well. As if I am here, as if there are others, as if this is all completely real. It's just a really strong assumption. A really strong assumption that there are others. There's never been anyone. Full stop. So if there's only one perceiver, everything that it perceives is also unreal. When the perceiver is seen as illusory, everything that is perceived, it's kind of like going to a video game. You know, there's a singular player video game, and then you enter into this world. You interact with others. Um, you know, I don't know if you've had one of those virtual goggles. I don't know, like the Oculus. It seems completely real. Well, you know, it's a video game, but you get really, really immersed in it. So in this immersive illusion, the interaction with others, the learning from others, the others speaking, um, it's just really coming from one perceiver or one player, a singular player. And in that singular player, it imagines others' interactions. It imagines it has a father, a mother. It imagines that it has this brothers, sister, friends, lovers, and all that kind of stuff. In this immersive reality that is a dream, the interaction is completely is a felt sense of realness. So the separation of others, the death of others, the death of a loved one reinforces that separation. So what was never really separate, all of these thoughts and sensations about separations appear to a singular me or a singular perception, and it multiplies its perception by thinking that someone's thinking of them, or what would others think, or did I hurt someone, or someone hurt me, or I said something wrong, I offended someone, someone offended me. It's the suffering in this separation, in this idea. Although there's assumptions are completely, you know, there's nothing wrong or right about that. The persistence of what's happening that's not really happening simultaneously creates this chaos, creates this sense of sadness, elation, all of those emotions and feelings. But when it boils down to it, it all comes down to nothing. It all becomes just this singularity. Like this apparent character is just a collection of thoughts and ideas. And in that collection of thoughts and ideas, there are others, there are relationships, there are lovers, there are enemies, there are nemesis, there are friends, there are all of this stuff. That's just a collection of thoughts and ideas, sensations and feelings. In the immediacy, in the intimacy of this directness of what's appearing as thisness, sometimes when you talk to others, there seems to be a disappearance of the apparent, you know, of two people talking, and especially when there is a romanticness about it, there's this wholeness that happens sometimes. But the moment that the separation comes in, the idea of separation comes in, there seems to be a misunderstanding, a confusion of what seems to be happening. Since no one has ever thought of you, no one has ever thought poorly, or no one has ever thought good of you. No one has ever loved you. You've never loved anyone. You've never hated anyone. No one hates you. And before you can say that, well, that's really alone. Well, wholeness doesn't know aloneness because it cannot be separated from each other. So what it's seeing is it's just this, it's just this assumption again that there is others, as if there are others, as if this is all real. So this arising idea of others seeing, it's kind of like having this, it's kind of like this virtual reality game that there is this, you know, multiple cast of characters that you interact with. I don't know if you played some video games, you can like go and get a map from someone. That's very kind of like almost like a primordial version of what's apparently appearing as this. So in this appearance, there's a whole bunch of squares appearing. It's kind of like just like a video game that no one is playing. There's nothing behind it. there are friction, there are some confrontation, and um, I just I just had this one-on-one with someone that really just wanted to debate about Ramana and Nisargadatta and all of these apparent others. Um, when I kept on mentioning that there are no others, so the assumption that there is someone that has reached enlightenment, someone that has reached awakening, is a reinforcement again that there is separateness. So in this very persistent illusion, there's this really convincing. It's really, really convincing that there's others. It's kind of like this is a funny story. It's kind of like there's this completeness in whatever seems to be happening. There's this wholeness. It could be an argument or whatever, and then Karen comes along and wants to see the manager, but there's no manager. Karen, there's no manager. I want to see the manager right now. This can't be it. There's got to be something better than this. And I don't like this speaker right now, so I want to see the manager. I want a different speaker. Karen, there's no speaker, there's no Karen, there's no manager. So the assumption that there are others causes a lot of reinforcement that I am here. Or sometimes even, this is really funny, sometimes there's the seeker that thinks that yes, there's no me, but you're still there. I'm not here, but there are people out there that thinks that there are no. So everything that you think of, everything that you assume that about another person, another being or whatever, another speaker, is your own perception, is your own illusion. There's no separate illusion. There's no 8.5 billion different illusions. There's just this illusion. When there was this dropping away of this character, I love walking at night. I love walking at night, and what I usually do is I put on a headphone, and I love singing, and but I'm always shy. So when I walk right now, I sing out really, really loud because there's no one there. And who cares? Walking in a mall sometimes is quite trippy because there's this, it feels exactly like a video game, like an immersive. I have one of those Oculus virtual reality thing that you put on your head, and then you see a completely different world. None of that is separate. It's just this whole video game. So there are no others. But in that whole video game, there are others that would fight you, compete with you, try to kill you. But none of that is happening because it's just a game. And it's exactly the same as this. And there are people that are going to try to, talk bad about you, criticize you, compete with you, but none of them are real. But since this is a game, everything seems to be completely, it has this felt sense of realness. And then there's this playing along with it. You don't have the choice not to play or play anymore. It's just this intuitiveness that no one is playing. So the player will interact, will have no choice to keep on doing this. Pop-up meetings. We'll just be talking. It's like a visual with a soundtrack. This is a visual with a soundtrack. There's no one behind here. And the interactive visuals with a soundtrack will ask questions or will converse about this. It doesn't make it real. There's an assumption that there are, there is others, but it's all a part of this singular virtual reality game that no one is playing. That's not programmed or anything. It's just all of these appearances happening over and over again. And once in a while, the me Karen comes in and complains and complains and complains and complains. But that me Karen is also part of the game. It's not to be getting. You can't get rid of it. It's just there, like in a video game. Um, and it's just all powered by this power of assumption that there is separation. There's this beautiful though. There's this it's just so amazing in this felt sense of reality with others. You can hug, you can touch, you can kiss, you can fight, you can argue, and it feels completely real. But there's no one behind that person, and there's no one behind you. There's nothing behind that, and there's nothing behind you. So it's just really wholeness playing in this separateness, in this exquisite, delicate, wowtastic thing called this. If you would like to have a conversation about that, let's go a little bit deeper. Although there's no others and there's no one here, um, and it's a lot of suffering that seems to happen in a character is based on the opinion of others. Anxiety thinks, when there's anxiety, thinking that there are others that thinks poorly of you or whatever. It's just all arising from this singular collection of thoughts and ideas. And in that collection of thoughts and ideas, there seems to be others that you think that has also a collection of thoughts and ideas about you. Since there's no you and there's no others, it's just this beautiful. It's kind of like it's just this beautiful life. It's beautiful virtual reality game called Separation. You can also type your questions via chat. Water. Oh, thank you. Someone said I like your background. I renovated earlier this morning. Emerson, how do you perceive others? Um, I don't perceive others because there's no one here. What's seen is as I said earlier, it's just like a visual with some soundtrack on it. The soundtrack that comes with feelings, with emotions, or whatever. But it's not separate. Ines, yes. Oh, Ines, I'll get to you, Michelle. Ines goes there. Did you want to expand on that one, Ines?
Well, I don't know if I want to really expand on that, but I just noticed that you can hear me all right,
Yes,
Emerson?
I can. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Because there has been so much, I don't know, is it due to social media or politics or news or moralizing standards that have just kind of shown up lately? You're supposed to be this and not that. And I feel like 20 years ago, there used to be like a discussion about different point of views, but lately there hasn't really. It's just like you have to do this and think like that. And if you don't, then there's going to be some canceling. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite crazy like that. That in this illusion of what seems to be happening, that there is this really big polarization. It's almost like this big separateness that's happening. It's either left or right and everything. And it just seems so intense. But in the dream of separation, it's always going to be like that. There's always
Mm.
going to be separation. There's going to be varying degrees of intensity. Right now, it seems to be the intensity is quite high. But again, that's just a reinforcement of separation. When it's seen through a lens of wholeness, when it's seen through a lens of non-separateness, it's just seen as a play. It's seen as a two puppies fighting for no reason whatsoever, playing really, really rough. One gets really, really offended and yelps, doesn't want to play anymore. The other one want to keeps on playing, or vice versa. It keeps on going back and forth. Um, not to dismiss what seems to be happening, but in a non-dualistic whole seeing, it's just a play of opposites. But there are really no opposites. Left and right are the same. This and that are the same. And if you really see to the heart of it, into the middle of it, it's just unconditional love playing it out by itself. It's just unconditionality. Whatever appears is allowed. So it could be this polar opposite of the left, or it could be polar opposite of the right. Unconditional love sees no separation in that. It allows it. It's not rejected. So what seems to happen is the reinforcement of the separation. If you reject the left, then you are reinforcing yourself again, the separation. If you reject the right, then it's almost impossible, because there seems to be this um what do you call it, preference. And there's nothing wrong or right about preference. Some people like sweet, some people like sour, right? It's just the seeing that even the choosing of left or right, or taking one side or whatever, is also wholeness appearing as that. There's nothing wrong or right about that. So if there is for example, there is a helping of what you think is right, then that's just what's happening. But again, that's kind of like take the lens a little back, like a little bit deeper. That all of these appearances, all of these appearances is coming from one perceiver. So this is just coming from one dream. So there's a dream of oppositeness, right? There's a dream of fighting this this really intense polarization in society. But once it's seen that it's just a dream, there's not even a society, there's not even a left or a right, there's not even a polarization. It's just a play. It's like a really amazing. It's kind of like this video game called Separation has reached its 20th version. So it just keeps on getting more intense and intense and intense. And now there's and you can get canceled now. So it just keeps on improving the game that was just a differences about beliefs in um, daylight saving times or no daylight saving times. Now it's just this extreme kind of like version of it. It's kind of like that movie. What's that movie again that they keep on doing? It's kind of like a Fast and Furious movie. Now it's like version 9. It just keeps on getting crazier and crazier. So that's what seems to be happening. It's just this movie of separation that just keeps on getting more intense, and it's part 20 now, or part 2022, and it just keeps on getting more ridiculous and more ridiculous. And it's just unbelievable, isn't it? Right, what seems to be happening. um and when the character is when the character believes that it is real, then it takes a side, and there's nothing wrong or right about that. um and it takes a side, and it gets really, really involved in that apparent um polarization, whatever they're talking about. It thinks the other is wrong, it thinks the other one is right. And it gets completely immersed in it. It goes into the rabbit hole of separation.
Yeah, and then it gets painful.
Then it gets painful, because all of a sudden, it becomes a really strong opinion that even family members become enemies if they have a different opinion than yours. But all of the what they're fighting about is an illusion. It
Yeah,
feels completely real, but it's still an illusion. So all of a sudden, oh, I don't talk to that family member anymore, or I don't talk to this anymore. Especially with what's happening with the apparent illusion of, again, it's a really part 2022 version of Separation that has been playing over and over and over again. And this time it's a blockbuster because it because it is very intense now. It's kind of like, oh wow, they've added COVID now. They've added, politics. They've added race, stuff, and they've added this, and that, and now they're going to add children to it. It's insane. It's insane. It just keeps on getting amped up and amped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, it's just these are just a collection of thoughts. The character is just a collection of thoughts and ideas. Um, in that collection of thoughts and ideas, there's a collection of left or right, society, universe, um, family members. So when there is deep sleep, none of that happens. None of that matters whatsoever. It's just peacefulness. And the trick is, all of this apparent kind of like polarization is also coming from that peacefulness. It's an appearance in peacefulness. So it's not apart from it. It's an
Yeah.
appearance from infinity, and it's also not a part of it, or emptiness.
Um, I do. Well, when I talk to somebody, and sometimes I really see them how they're just replaying their own stories again and again. It's just like I'm just observing them, and I just want to kind of shake them and tell them, hey, you're just replaying the same thing over and over again. But looking at this character, I just so often, especially when I'm stressed or when there's so much going on, in times of quiet, I can see, and sometimes I have really wonderful moments of wholeness.
Yeah, yeah.
And but when there's much going on, not even really stress, just a lot happening, I'm just kind of lost in the events. And
Yeah, yeah, because there again, the persistent idea that this is separate
yeah.
creates this friction of others, right? As I mentioned earlier, whoever whoever you're facing or having kind of like a discussion with, including this, there's nothing behind those eyes. It's just a visual with a soundtrack. it's just a it's an appearance with sound, and it's all stemming from this singular perceiver, which is you. You're perceiving that. There's nothing behind that. It feels completely real because you think that you're completely real. um, when I have I don't actually have a lot of I used to be really really opinionated, you know what I'm saying? I could be a male Karen sometimes, in the whole story, and complain about some stuff. There's no one behind here now, so there's just this easiness about this. There's just this relax, right? So when it doesn't engage in it as much anymore, and it just sees as like, oh, if that's what you feel, then that's what's happening. Then if that's what's happening over there, then that's what's happening. I don't really say that. I just kind of like nod or whatever. It's just seen that if that's what's happening there, meaning that there's no there, it's not really happening. But there's the interaction as if the person is real. So this character will interact with any other character as if they are real, because this is a felt sense of real dream, and there's no choice in doing that. For example, if you tell them that, well, you're not there anyway, imagine what the other person is gonna say. so so what I'm trying to say is that although there is a reaction, you know what I'm saying, if somebody says, there's instant forgiveness in the reaction and the one that has caused the reaction, because there's no cause and effect. So there's peacefulness in arguments, because there's no one arguing, there's no one that is being argued upon, and there's no two people arguing because there's no people at all.
Isn't there, yeah, I get that, Emerson, isn't there, but also a huge part, isn't there also a lot of loneliness in this? Because this character always, especially feeling separate, always wants completion, don't we?
You know, in the what do you call it? In the apparent dropping away, no one dropped away, and you know, this is just a story of Emerson. There was a period, just a really short period of grieving that everyone that I know doesn't exist.
Mm.
But there's also a celebration. I'm like, hooray! There's also this kind of like, okay, so I have never really done anything. No one has ever done anything to me.
Yeah, it's freedom,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's
it's freedom.
liberation.
Yeah, it's freedom. And wholeness can never feel separate, so it doesn't know aloneness. It just knows wholeness.
Mm.
So aloneness becomes wholeness.
And still there was a lot of or there is a lot of grief regarding the death
There
of
was a
your
brief.
dog.
There was a. Yeah. Well, the crying, and you know, I was crying and everything. This just happened about 3 days ago. So there was full on, right? There was crying. I was in bed, and this sadness, because of course my dog was still in the room when he was dead. He was here for about a day right before I took him to the crematorium. So every time I would look, I would just go, you know, stroke his head, sing songs, and crying. No one's doing that. So sadness happens. It, I felt like an elephant. You know, an elephant when they grieve, you know, they gather together, and all that kind of stuff. It felt like an animal grieving. It's just this character grieving, but there's no one behind it. So when the grieving left, today I was super happy. Actually, I was awake at 3 o'clock, excited about this talk.
So no neurotic thinking.
No, because usually what happens when there's someone there is when someone passes away, there's a lot of regrets. There's a
Mhm.
lot of I
Yeah.
should have, I could have, oh, I should have not. There's none of that because there's no time. So grieving, um, I always say it's kind of like an open house. This is like an open house. So when grieving comes in, it stays and it leaves. It's not the doors are not closed. It's not begged to stay. It's just comes and goes. And if grieving happens again, if sadness happens again, then it happens again. But it doesn't have any any stickiness to anymore. No more stories with the grieving. It's just grieving. The body feels separate from the another apparent body, but that's also seen as emptiness, as an illusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Oh, I can't hear you, Michelle.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Happy to talk to you.
Yes, likewise.
Like you said in the beginning, uh, they are assumption, you know.
Yes.
But it seems that there's only that, you know. It's
Yeah.
yeah. Even if you say to me or others that there's no one behind the eye, you know, well, it's heard. I mean, something hear that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and but uh, there's no waiting for. It's like I say to myself. I mean, there's already it's already this, you know.
Yes.
So I you know I don't matters anymore that if I don't, you know, if there is some assumption, still assumption seems to be, because it's always seeming, you know. So, uh, and there's no waiting because there's, unless I mean, there's no waiting because I feel like I start a path again, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's do you understand what I'm
Yes,
trying
I
to
do. Yeah,
say?
yeah. Yeah.
So there's it's impossible, you know. It's impossible for the me.
Mm-hmm.
uh, there's no waiting because there's no time. It's only this.
Yes.
And and there's no difference between, you know, people. I was listening at a small video of Ariana.
Yeah.
She was describing, like you did before, uh, what it is to to be no one. That to there's nothing, and I felt that I was comparing. I
Yeah.
because I the me feels so far from what she was describing. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Again, what was shared was just that it's just another story.
yeah. It's
There's
well,
there's no Ariana really. It's just a story. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and
yeah.
again, comparison is a thief of joy, right? Because it's
Mhm.
just it that's why I don't really make videos like that. But sometimes, I talk about that kind of thing. But it is it
Yeah.
becomes a personalized, um, tale, and then there seems to be comparison, and there's nothing wrong or right about that whatsoever, right? Um, um,
Yeah.
Seeing here is just that whatever is apparently there is the same. There's just this assumption that there's you that is feeling this. So whatever it is appearing, apparently on the opposite, on the other side over there, is the same. It's just talking, um, and then once in a while, there's this the assumer or the Karen or the negotiator comes in, but it's seen as powerless.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's like the chicken and the egg. Who come first? I
yeah,
mean, I mean, there's because there's nothing to understand. There's nothing to know,
mm.
and still I feel the me
Yeah.
doing one, and this.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. See,
No, never.
because everything is coming all at once. So even the idea, for example, that I want to drink water, and then you get water, is the same.
Mm-hmm.
It comes all at the same time. The thirst and the thing all comes in the same time. So
Yeah.
even when the me seems to appear, and as I call it, it's just like a note taker, or a navigating system. It's not separate from that, but it doesn't have any power as well. It's just an illusion.
It feels that it's very powerful.
Yeah, it for me. It's like a glorified hiccup.
Kick up.
Hiccup.
Or,
When someone is, or sneeze. It's a
okay.
glorified sneeze.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There's really nothing in it, and there's the meaning. It's just a collection of thoughts and ideas that seems to be very persistent. But the
Yeah.
persistence is seen when it's empty. The persistence is seen as like, oh, because it can be really persistent, but it loses its power when it's seen that it's also empty.
Yeah.
So everything that arises is also emptiness. Everything that comes, seems to arise, feeling up there's a me or a separation, is just a story. And behind that story is a
Mhm.
door to nothing. It's always nothing. It's always nothing appearing as whatever. So even ideas about another speaker having this stuff, whatever, is just nothing as well. Everything is nothing. So everything that
Yeah.
arises, even that kind of like comparison, is really nothing at all.
Yeah. The lady just before me
Yeah.
was a very good.
Ines.
Yeah, because I'm stick I'm stuck with that often, because it's always take a side. There's
Yeah.
and I
And there's
sometimes
nothing wrong or right about that. See, Michelle, you're making it
oh
wrong now, right? If you take a
yeah,
side, that's okay, but no one is behind that.
no one, yeah.
No one is behind that. No one is doing that. And you
Hmm.
have no choice to pick a side or not pick a side. It's just what's happening.
Yeah,
And in, in,
it's
in every happening, it's always nothing. It's always empty. So
okay.
even that is completely meaningless if you pick whatever side. And if you get passionate about it, so what? It's just what's happening.
Mhm.
There's not no control, but the neurosis usually drops away, even if you're on another side, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
That seems to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's still the neurosis because yeah, I mean, there's the, but nothing wrong, I guess. There's,
No, no, no. Even the neurosis is actually empty. It's also nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, it all leads to nothing
Hmm.
because it's always nothing, masquerading as whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's, you know, anyway, there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, in this story of this character though, and don't compare. This is just a story. You can't really compare stories, just a story. I used to be really would take side and really kind of like really get into the rabbit hole of trying to figure out, what's wrong with the other side. So I would have ammunition to kind of like, argue with whoever. Right now it's almost kind of like it was kind of like a hobby that I liked before that I don't like anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Because
just
like in the COVID time, this there are speakers that they are, they say this, and other speaker they say that.
yeah.
And they,
There's nothing wrong or right about that. It's
yeah,
just
but it
it's
was very, it's like,
yeah. It's like some people like hot, some people like sweet, and that's
yeah,
basically it.
yeah,
But this speaker um, there's just an acceptance of whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, whatever. Doesn't take sides anymore. Um,
yeah.
yeah, but but
Okay.
um
Yeah.
but respects both sides.
Yes,
Yeah,
respect, and
yeah, yeah.
and it's a play.
Yeah, I can talk to an extreme right winger, an extreme left winger, and I would listen to them with interest and or whatever, right? There's no
Yeah.
more opinion of saying that, oh, I don't think that, or um,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's just what's happening. It's
Yeah.
just what's happening. There's also a seeing of what seems to be happening. In this polarization, there seems to be a lot of letting go of authority.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And both sides, actually, not just one side. And it's kind of funny because there's sameness in what's happening in
Mhm.
both sides of the spectrum. Yeah,
Both sides, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. It's the same. It's the
Mhm.
same. If you look at it, it's the same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emerson.
Thank
That's
you, Michelle. Nice talking to you. Come back again. Ask as many questions as
yes.
you'd like.
Okay.
Um, hey, Lindy. Oh, you have to. I can't hear you right now, Lindy. No, still not. I don't know what's going on. Maybe start your not sure. L-
Is that any better?
Oh, yes, I
No.
can hear you now. Good, good.
Oh, okay. Because when I first came on, I couldn't hear you, so I
Oh,
switched to a different speaker. I'm not quite sure what I did. I just tried them all, but obviously that turned my sound off. But I can hear you now as well. Now, I just wanted to say really that well, I'm sort of grateful that you were talking as you were about your dog, but it
yeah.
made me cry, and I think I did need, and I need to cry. I haven't cried since I lost him, which is nearly a year ago, I don't think. But
Oh,
it just brought the whole thing back. So there's a kind of beauty in it, although it feels overwhelmingly sad, actually.
it
Um,
is. It is. It can be really, really sad, but sad. And it's a beautiful feeling as well.
mm,
There's
I
depth
think
to
I
it.
felt that more at the time. I'm really struggling to find any beauty in it today
Oh,
somehow. No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. No, I mean it was just beautiful. Your words.
Oh,
about
thank you.
your dog. It just brought it all back, really.
Thank you.
It's always animals that do it for
Yeah,
me more than anything
yeah,
else.
I'm already a sucker for I watch sometimes I can watch YouTube for an hour of just animals reuniting with their human, and uh and it's beautiful, and I cry tons just watching that. There seems to be that beauty in the apparent relationship of a human and a doggy or a cat or whatever, right? Yeah,
Mm, yeah,
yeah.
it's all just, yeah. I guess it was the word losing. I lost the dog. It brings it all back to me. Just none of this makes any sense, really.
Yeah, some of them
These
say it's
huge.
the hardest. It's the hardest separation is the of a furry loved one.
I think for me as well, it probably brings back other stuff in the body that's possibly been buried, because it's more complicated, isn't it, when you lose humans? Somehow there's more ambivalence there, perhaps,
Yeah.
depending on how your relationship was. But with an animal, it's just so pure. It just brings the whole lot.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Just brings the whole lot with it. It like scours the riverbed and brings it all. Brings it all. But why I should suddenly be so upset today? It was just your words. They were just so incredibly beautiful about you
Oh,
losing
thank
your
you.
dog.
Thank you.
And I really feel for you. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
feel with you.
Thank you.
There's no you and me, but just to say we're on the same page. But, yeah, I thought I'd share rather than keep it to myself. I felt better after I'd spoken to you last night too. So rather than keep it in, I think I just need to brave the camera a bit more often, really.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes when it's expressed, then it's expressed.
Mm,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
There's a question here. Um, Nothing as Joseph. Are individuals like imaginative squeaky thought commentators on what is not? Do you want to expand on that one, Joseph? Nothing as Joseph? Yeah, you know what? There are no individuals, right? Again, as I mentioned earlier, it it's as if there was just this really immersive video game that seems to have multiple people. There's only one player though. So when I see appearing individuals, it's just this appearance with a soundtrack. Um, the non-duality police, please go ahead. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Um, I have no question, but I just want to say that it is so chill hanging out.
Ah,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah, it's just so chill. I don't know. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very chill actually, just hanging out,
Thanks.
doing nothing, talking about nothing, talking to no one.
Yeah, yeah, it's so nice. Well, I'm in a lot of pain,
Oh no.
always. Well, but it's okay. Like it's just like you say. It's so there's no me behind this me. There's no
Yeah.
me behind this pain.
Nah,
So
yeah.
there's also no time and space behind this pain. So I don't know. It just over here it flips all the
Yeah.
time, and I just love it.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Like I can't even be bored while laying in bed like always.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I was in bed for quite a while too, and I was in a lot of pain. Um, but
yeah,
there was a seeing that pain is just pain, and it dissolves into nothingness, and then it
yeah,
comes back again full on. Sometimes it's stronger, and then nothing again.
Yeah.
But for that pain to come up, it has to be there has to be an underlaying of nothing. So it's also nothing appearing as pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
just it's
that's
beautiful.
so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
But not when you're a lot of pain, because all you could feel is that pain. You're like, ah, and then it dissolves into nothing, and then it comes back again, dissolves into nothing, comes back again.
Yeah.
There was a time that there was this seeing of this kind of like intensity of this apparent pain, and I don't know what it was or whatever. All I know is I could not eat or drink or whatever, and but there was a smile on my face because it was just seeing this play of pain and nothing, pain and nothing, pain and nothing, and then I would go to sleep, and it was just this deep sleep, and then the apparent character wakes up, and there's this creeping pain again, and then it's there like, oh, there it is again. It's like it's just a play. It's just a play. So when there's no story behind it, when there's no narrative about why did this happen to me, why am I going through this, what did I do wrong, why, oh, then then the intensity, um, it could be really intense, but it's not extended. It doesn't become in emotional pain. It doesn't become a this pain that has
A
becomes
story. And
a trilogy or an origin story. Where did this pain come from?
yeah.
It becomes a
Yeah.
part one, part two, part three, and then there's a new series of pain, part four, five, six. It just keeps on going, and it just becomes this super intense pain, um, because it's what seems to happen when there is a contractedness. It's like a house that the doors are all closed. So even if the pain wants to go away, it's kept there. It's held hostage because it becomes the um the identity of the character, the me character. It becomes I am pain.
Yeah.
I
That's
am
so,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So when
so funny.
so when the house is open, all the doors opens to nothing
Yeah.
because it's open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah. I, I've been like in bed for maybe 650 days or something like that,
Oh
but
wow.
I can't feel it. Like
Wow.
it's um even if I talk to my mother, she's always pointing at me like, yeah, you did this and you did that and you did way too much, so that's why you were sick. But it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
popping out of nothing, and
Yeah.
the
Again,
time
it's
just is not here.
yeah, it's like your mom is kind of like a character in a video game that says her thing is to blame, but there's
She
you know,
plays the blame game, and
she
it's,
plays the blame game, but there's nothing behind it. It's just this
yeah,
emptiness with a soundtrack and a visual. It's just this
yeah,
appearance, and so it could be a reaction to it, but the one that's reacting to it is also emptiness with this apparent collection of stories, and a soundtrack and this sound and everything. But when it's seen, it's just both emptiness. Then it's just emptiness bickering with each other, and then
yeah, and
there's
it's
this.
so funny.
It's funny,
It's
yeah.
so,
It's so
yeah.
funny. It's so funny. Sometimes I watch my parents, and they're kind of like talking back and forth, and they're getting kind of like a little bit, and then I burst out laughing in the middle of their seriousness. They're like, and then they ask, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's just funny. You guys watching you guys kind of like bicker about nothing." And it's
Yeah, that's funny.
so there's just this childlike wonder about what's happening. So if your mom is saying, "Oh, you did so much of this and that," there's just this childlike, "Uh-huh, yeah, yeah, yeah." What the?
You have to find some Jesus. I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You have to be born
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There are some demons possessing you. And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. And she's like, why are you laughing? Why? It's just so funny.
Yeah, there's just this seriousness has left the building, right? That's what seems to happen when this apparent falling away is this serious character that takes everything so seriously. Um,
Yeah.
is just seen as it's kind of like it gets retired, right? Because it doesn't have any room for seriousness when everything is happening all at once, when everything is appearing simultaneously, when time is appearing, timelessness is appearing as moments, when nothing is appearing as pain, when nothing is appearing as smiles or whatever that seems to be appearing. There seems to be no room for Karen anymore, right? Or the negotiator. There's no room for that anymore. Even if it pops up, it kind of like it's muted. It's not heard anymore because it's just seen as so what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even the apparent others like moms or friends, that doesn't understand what's going on, it's just seen as this caricature, like a cartoon character now, um, with just this. There's still love for it, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like how you love Mickey Mouse, but it's empty. But there's nothing behind it because the one that's loving is nothing, and the one that is loving is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so chill. So
So
yeah.
chill, so chill. Yeah. Well, keep on hanging out.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right. There's 3 sessions today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Thank you, Non-Duality Police. Hi, Ghislaine. Oh, that's beautiful, Ghislaine. Um, if you would like to share that, go ahead, please, and unmute yourself. Ghislaine goes, nothing, always, only.
I love so much these meetings. It's
Oh,
such a
thank you.
joy.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Ghislaine is such a joy.
Oh, my God. Who could have who could have knew that nothing is such a joy? That's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
It's
There's
unexpected, and then when it's seen, it's fabulous, and it's unexplicable, but feels so true, that's that's a funny mystery.
it is. It is. It feels like nothing at all.
Yeah, and all that was ever needed by no one, everything is nothing. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. So
It is. It is. It
I'm
is.
looking and listening to the answers that you give, and it's always the same answer. And
Yes, it is.
yes, it is, but it's the only answer needed. It's not really needed because there is only nothing. Oh my God. I'm so in love with
Oh.
this. I can't tell.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just this in loveness with nothing. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
which is the best
And
kind of like in loveness. Who are you in love with? No one.
and it
What are you in love
comes
with?
through
Nothing.
very, very much in your meetings. It's a flow of
Oh, thank you.
joy. So, yeah,
Thank you.
I can't help to join every time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can't help it because there's no one choosing to do these meetings. It just happens.
Yeah, nothing happening. Oh boy.
Maybe one
Thank
day I'll
you.
just have a 24/7 kind of like, Zoom and I'll just keep on
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. Oh boy.
Thank you, Gillen. Laura goes, love Mickey and all the cartoons. Yeah, me too. Actually, I love all the cartoons. When I was, do you wanna chat, Laura? When I was a little kid, I used to watch the Saturday cartoons and um did not, just love the characters. Just love the characters. They were my friends.
You know what? All you need is nothing should be the song.
Yeah, yeah, shit. Hi, Petra. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. It's wonderful that we have this weekend together. And
Yes.
last night already there was again so much love and
Oh,
peace. Oh, I missed you all together so much, and I'm so happy we spent the weekend together.
yes, 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 yes,
Yes, yes.
yes. I loved it when you guys are at the breakout room too. You guys seem to be having a lot of fun there.
Mm.
I guess you guys miss each other so much because there's no breakout rooms.
Oh,
Not that much
okay.
anyway, but yeah, there's just this enjoyment in speaking about this, and as I said, there's just some topics that got a little bit clearer, and I just wanted to revisit some of the topics that I really like talking about, although it's always leads to nothing, um, and it's just this awesome um, sharing of nothing.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Oh, can you raise my volume? Okay. Is that better now? My voice is okay. Good, good, good. Okay. No worries. Emerson, do you experience any separation at all? No, actually, there's no Emerson here that's experiencing anything. So all of this is just the immediacy of what seems to be occurring that's not really occurring. Since there's no time, whatever is appearing is just what's appearing. For example, there's this appearance of talking to parent, characters out there, and that's just the immediacy of it. So there are going to be ideas about separations that comes and everything, but they're just ideas. They're not held on to anymore. Um, so there's no one experiencing anything here, and it's the same there. There's just this assumption that there is someone that is experiencing, that there's a personalization in what seems to be happening. There's an assumption that there's separation there. So what seems to be happening there is the same as happening here, meaning that there's no separation between here and there. So yeah, so there's in the when there was an Emerson, when there was a belief that there was an Emerson character, of course there was this belief of separation. As I mentioned earlier, there was a belief in others, and it got quite painful because it was really concerned about how this character looked to others, and guilty about some stuff that it assumed that it did wrong, or hurt when it was done wrong, and all that kind of stuff. And that sense of separation causes a lot of suffering because it's experiencing separation. So when there's an experiencer, what happens is there's this belief, or there's this assumption that it is actually separate from what's happening. So what's being expressed here is that this is just perfection, this is completion, this is wholeness, seemingly appearing as separate, but the seeming appearance of separation is the perceiver's perceived illusion, meaning that it's not really real. So it seems completely real, um, but when it's seen, when they say, you know what, the veil has been dropped, or but there's no veil that needs to be dropped because it's already clear. When there's clarity that occurs for no one, then that separation, that experiencer is deleted, meaning it's not no longer experiencing things, it's just a happening. So experiencing is attaching something that could be um, a felt sense of realness, right? There's an attachment to my opinions, my ideas, others' opinions, others' ideas, and that causes a lot of this suffering. So when that drops, everything is just this wholeness appearing as separate, but the appearance of separateness is seen wholly, completely, meaning that it's an illusion. It's seen that what seems to be appearing as separate is not really separate because there's no one here that's separate. So when the apparent character drops, everything that it perceives, including others, including the opinion of others, are only seen as perceptions or appearances or illusions. Ines goes, what would your parents say if they knew you see them as cartoon characters? Mine would have been furious. They would not understand. um, but they know that I love them. But not as cartoon characters, probably. But I, you know. I'll probably tell my mom, I love you like I love you like Minnie Mouse, and she probably won't understand. um, I don't have any parents. Their perceptions as well, right? Because I am not here, so all my perceptions, well, the apparent perceptions, including parents' appearances, others are not here as well. There's this felt sense real a reality that there is, that Emerson was born, that Emerson will die, Emerson's parents. But again, that's just an illusion as well. My dad was trying to watch one of my videos. I'm like, oh no 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 no. It's I said um, this goes against your belief system. He goes, oh okay okay okay. And I think my mom watched one of my video, stumbled upon it. I don't know how, and luckily, she's hard of hearing. She's a senior, and probably did not, catch anything that I said. Especially that thing that she's a very religious woman, and she usually prays. She prays the rosary every day. She's probably praying for me. But again, there's no one behind that. No one behind those eyes. It was really, when there was this when I came back to see my parents, to be with my parents. There was no more Emerson. It was so beautiful because there was almost like a reset button. So I was able to love them fresh without any history and rediscover them. I think for quite a while I walked with my mom every day and learned a new language for my language, and it was such a joy. When there was this character Emerson, he could not stay with the parents for more than 3 days. It would book a hotel somewhere and pretended that, oh yeah, I only have 3 days, but meanwhile he's actually in the city for a couple of weeks hanging out with his brothers. Now there's no more friction, nothing whatsoever. It's just this love, unconditional love. For the apparent parents, even though they're just cartoon characters. Thank you for that question, Ines. It's fun. Oh, Sheer. Hi, Sheer.
Yeah, right. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You said that you are not there.
Yes. You're not there too.
Yeah. So it's the means that you are everything. Not
There's no,
you as nothing. Not you as nothing.
this is nothing appearing as
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you talk about the relation with you and your mother,
Yeah.
as the means that you are already that.
Yes, it's there's no relationship actually with anyone, right? It's just
Not
this whole,
relation.
yeah.
It, not that you have a relation. Because if it's relation, it's two.
Yeah, there's no relationship whatsoever.
It's so it's the means that the mother and father it's also that nothing that
It's
you are.
also that
That you
nothing.
are
Yeah,
not.
yeah. It's also
The,
nothing. It's also nothing appearing as father and mother bickering. That's why it's funny because it's really nothing.
but it's appear from nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. It is nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's not even from nothing. It's actually nothing.
It's
It's appearing.
it is that. Yes.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cher. Good to see you.
Yes. Same.
Question here. Emerson, do you also have any friends and do you also see them as cartoon characters? Uh, I don't have. The character Emerson has friends that has been friends since high school and everything. Luckily, one of them has apparently dropped away as well over a few pints of beers, maybe two or three, and um, we don't talk about non-duality actually, but there's we usually go for walks and just see this apparent happening as vibrant. He'll stop and you say, "Oh, look at that tree! Wow," that kind of thing, right? So I also have another friend that discovered one of the remixes. It's kind of funny. She's a nurse, and I've been friends with her for a long time. She said that she listens as a joke. As a joke, she listens. She jokes to me, and she'll be like, "Emerson, Emerson," simultaneous, simultaneous, just trying to copy the thing. And she said one time she's a nurse in a um, what do you call it, ICU. It's just a very stressful place. So sometimes she listens to some of my videos and she falls asleep and she has the best rest. She doesn't understand what's happening whatsoever. She doesn't understand the topic at all. She makes fun of it. She just thinks it's something. It's a spirituality thing. She thinks it's meditation. She thinks it's one of those kind of like thing. So she listens to it thinking that it would relax her, and it relaxes her. She goes, yeah. She goes, one time I had a really good deep sleep for like about 10 minutes. I don't know what happened, Emerson. I listened to your thing. I just needed some rest and I was just so relaxed. And that's just another story. But yeah, they don't really, one of them was just curious about what's happening, and the other one, I have other friends too, but I don't really talk about radical non-duality to people because they'll probably think that I will need to get committed to a psychiatric ward or something if they it's kind of like Fight Club, right? Number one rule of non-duality is you don't talk about non-duality. And there's nothing to talk about anyway, so what's the point? Hi, Ines.
Yes, just because you mentioned that, Emerson, I do have some friends who are very spiritual,
Yeah, yeah,
and gosh, I used to be spiritual as well while I
yeah,
went on that path. I think others might have too in this group, and those people are really. I see now how off they are, or I don't know. I'd rather have sometimes even just normal people around me than spiritual people, because they're just, oh, the world is going to change to the better, and we
mm,
all are going to be transcending whatever that
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Not quite sure, but everything's going to turn around, and out of the evil something good will come, and that's going to happen very soon, because so and so just wrote that, I don't know, 50 years ago, and he was just referring to this time. So I'm just there, and I just say, you can't you can't really touch me with that message. I don't understand it. Let's talk about something else.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if I should just talk about non-duality with those people, but something in me says rather not. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? If you do it or not, because there's no one choosing to do it or not anyway. It's either you're going to do it or not. Um, but there are no others as well, right? So it's kind of goes back to what we are talking about earlier. But I hear your story. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I have a friend actually from. I don't have any more friends from spirituality. And then I have one person that contacted me a couple of weeks ago and then said, "Oh, I'm so happy you're out of the bullshit, Emerson." When this was a spiritual teacher, it relied on scriptures, on lineage, on deities, on enlightened beings, um, in mantras, in chakras. Yeah, I guess you can call it bullshit. Yeah. So I was a teacher of bullshit, and that's what kept on happening was just this. And there's nothing wrong or right about bullshit. It's just bullshit. Who cares? But there was this convinced though. There was this. I was really convinced. I was very earnest in the beginning that I was teaching to help others, to increase, to make the world better, to help the world, to find the purpose. I really believed in that. I was very very earnest. But towards towards after maybe several years of doing it, maybe after about, I think it was towards the 8th year, ninth year that it started falling apart. The stories was not adding up at all. Um, it was very contradictory, and there's a lot of plot holes, and everyone was just kind of like blindly following along. And since um you're selling something, you're always it's yeah, it's always trying to upsell something. Now I'm going to have but there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just a story. There's just this. It's just a rejection of what's already being presented, and thinking that there's something better than this. So what is already this, and this is already perfection. This is already complete. So what spirituality does is that, how do we go inward in this perfection? And it's being expressed that there's no in and there's no outside. Or how do we better ourselves? And then in non-duality, it's kind of like, well, there's no you. Or how do we help others? There's no others. So it's just a cutthroat kind of like exposure and expression that all that there is this, and there's nothing that needs to be changed. So spirituality or religion is all about changing. It's all about um, saving yourself, right? So in religion, there's this idea that there's a higher source, like a God, that will save me from this suffering. And in spirituality, it becomes there's an inner source, the inner higher self will save me. And then non-duality is you don't need to be saved because you're not even here. And so yeah, so it is hard to interact with people that are trying to save you or trying to heal you or trying to give you a mantra or trying to give you a practice or trying to get you calmer. And they speak in these words in a very slow way and trying to get you to the awareness and presence of everything. Nothing wrong or right about that, but I'd rather have, just this normal this, with nothing being added to it. It's just this immediacy because what is being trying trying to meditate on, trying to get into this presence or trying to find trying to purify. Spirituality is about purifying yourself so that you reveal your higher self. Or realize, not reveal, but you realize, you self-realize, that this higher self. So what's being expressed in radical non-duality is that this is it. This is complete. Nothing needs to be changed. And that's what liberation is. And then there's poor suckers thinking that they can free themselves by meditating and and trying to do this and not, trying to purify and but what they keep on doing is that they just keep on reasserting or reinforcing that I am not free, that there's an I that needs to be free. So when it's expressed that there's no I, freedom appears. That has never left. That can never be lost. That is always here. So this idea of ascension or the world is changing and everything is actually kind of like an insult to what is already happening. It's rejecting it, this perfection. Because from this seeing here, this is already perfect. Even with the stories of whatever, because it doesn't affect it anymore. Because it just sees everything as this illusory, persistent illusory suggestions that there is separation.
It's very, very beautiful what you said. I find the atmosphere here very, very calming, and it has taken away some of the efforting that has been here.
Thank you. Yeah, this doesn't require any effort at all, right? Because it's already free. Free to be whatever it is, because it's not limited. There's no I in freedom. Freedom is just as unconditionally as it is. So that's why it's very calming and it's very relaxing, because there's nothing to figure out. Because it's appearing as this completeness. Thank you so much, Ines. I have the non-duality police back. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, this is just a story, but I was very spiritual too.
Yeah.
And like really, really spiritual. And there's this strong belief that if you
And
get
now you're the
sick,
non-duality police.
yeah. I heard people are disappearing here, so no, it's a stupid joke. But yeah, there's this really strong belief that if you have an illness or a disease, that
Mm.
you must be thinking the wrong way, like you
Yeah, yeah,
manifested
yeah.
it.
Oh, totally, yeah. Totally that
Yeah, and
that there
every
is.
time, oh
Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead. No, no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
every time my friends, because I barely have contact with people anymore because of pain and stuff, but every time they seek contact with me, it's always about, yeah, have you changed your thought patterns that created this disease, or have you found Jesus? Or it's like everyone is really blaming you when you're sick for being sick. Like you must do something wrong. And when that fell away, it was just, it's just, yes, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
that's it.
It is what it is, and there's nothing that can
Yeah.
be changed about it. It's just what's happening, and um, also, the people that's trying to help you, it is what it is too. That's just what's happening too,
Yeah.
and they're not even there. They're just really silly cartoon characters thinking that you can change your thoughts or manifest. That's what it is. Is people think that you manifested this, and you can manifest it by thinking, you know, clear thoughts or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I used to do that too. I used to think that I what bondage though, huh? What suffering is that? Thinking that you did this to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. As if you
It
want this to
it's a
do.
weight.
Yeah.
It's really heavy to carry that around.
Yeah. So when it's
Yeah.
when it's revealed that there's no you doing any of this, you're like, well, I guess this is just what is. The
Yeah.
heavy burden of this idea that I did this or I can undo this is released. Yeah.
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 That's beautiful
Yeah.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
And even in talking with those people, like I automatically, but I'm not doing that. I go into their stories. I just spit out all this bullshit,
Yeah,
and
there's
I'm like, I don't even believe in this, but it's just happening on its own, and it's so funny.
yeah, that again is that's what I said in the beginning, right? That there's this collection of thoughts and ideas, which makes up a character. And that collection of thoughts and ideas, it also makes up other characters. It's not separate from that. And there are no other characters as well. And there's just this happening. And this happening, everything can appear, including this collection of thoughts and ideas that I am real, that others are real, that this is really happening. But when when by accident, sometimes it's seen that no one has these ideas or thoughts. It's just appearing. No, there's and then when there's this just clear seeing that there's never been anyone here, there's no one here, then it wipes out the entire 8.5 billion population into this nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing being 8.5 billion people, and it's really just nothing. What a
Yes.
wonderful
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
What a wonderful
Yeah.
nothing. Well, thank you so much, Non-Duality
Thank
Police.
you.
And I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. This is just and sorry for just the 1 day announcement of this one. Actually only sent this to 50 people, the email. I just wanted to have a longer conversation, and there's going to be a breakout room. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see
Thank
you back
you.
in about an hour.